This is the lowest recoil M4 build in Escape from Tarkov. There's also a really great balance build later in the video, which allows for fantastic ergo and almost as good recoil. So, as I start all of my M4 builds, I start off with this Barter from Mechanic. It's pretty cost effective. These pro kills are typically around 60 to 70k. So you can normally pick up an M4 for between 120 and 150k. And that M4 is a pretty good build to begin with. I've done a previous video, I'll link that in the top right hand corner, where you can make some minor adjustments to this build and it's a really capable M4. But this is the lowest recoil build available right now, and we're going to talk you through how to achieve that. So, in order to achieve the lowest recoil possible, we need to use the 20-inch barrel. The Raptor charging handle is going to give you a slightly better ergo. The SAI QD 14.5-inch handguard gives you the best recoil stats. As for optics, it's up to you. The Voodoo is my favorite right now. Use a preference on this one, and it's going to very much be determined on where you go in and what you plan to do. Now, for the suppressor, it's the Seika ASR, and you need the correct muzzle adapter for that. The Low Pro gas tube, the RK2 foregrip, and the Growl S pistol grip is going to give you the best ergo you can achieve. As far as stock goes, you're going to want the advanced tube and a PRS Gen 3. What that will result in is a pretty expensive build. If you're buying all of the parts from scratch, I think this takes you to almost sort of 550k. I have a lot of the parts already. But this is the best recoil build possible. 670k on the flea right now for every individual part. Pretty expensive, but this is a very good build. Full stats: 23 vertical recoil, 72 horizontal recoil, and just 9 ergonomics. That's why there's an additional build I'm going to run through, which I think is the meta build M4 for this wipe, which increases the ergo significantly and only just increases the recoil. A great byproduct of starting off with the Barter from Mechanic is you have an awful lot of items to sell back to Mechanic. We sell everything that we took off of that M4 Barter build back to Mechanic. We end up with just over 120k back. That is, you know, what we paid for the barter, which is great. Now, moving on to the meta build, which gets you down to 26 recoil and 44 ergo. Here it is. So rather than the 20-inch barrel, we're actually going to use the 16-inch Hansen barrel. We're going to use the same charging handle. We're going to use the same suppressor and muzzle attachment. The same gas block in the Low Pro. We're going to use the canted RK1 foregrip, because that does give you ergo and recoil. And as for the stock, we're going to stick with the same advanced tube, but we're going to use the MOE with the additional rubber butt pad. Same pistol grip. This brings the build down to a 26 vertical recoil, 84 horizontal recoil, 42 ergo if you use the Voodoo, but 44 ergo if you're going to use a holographic. Here's a look at the builds side by side so you can compare stats. We've got the meta build on the right and the full recoil build on the left. For me, the meta build does feel an awful lot better. If you're a still gamer, or you like to play tactically, as some might say, then maybe you'll benefit from the recoil. But for me, I really enjoy running around with the meta build. Exactly the same story when it comes to selling the parts back to mechanic. So we'll pick ourselves 120k or so back, which is pretty much what we paid for the build to begin with. You'll notice I sold back the MOE but stock just because it was tan. I like the look of an all black build. If you want to go, for a tan stock on a black grey build, go ahead, save yourself a few quid. With 5.56 becoming more available this wipe, you can get your hands on M855A1 from Peacekeeper. However, you're going to find that this is out of stock quite often. M856A1 is still a pretty decent round early to mid wipe, but you can also craft M995. Here's the craft in the hideout, and you do get 200 rounds, so I think this is a worthwhile craft. Make sure that you're crafting some M995, picking up the 55A1 when you can, and if you don't have enough ammo, don't have enough of the best in slot ammo, then you can always revert to using the M856A1. As for magazines, you can pick up the 60 rounders from Peacekeeper at level 3. This is a barter, and it's great. You can pick up 5 60 round mags each reset. These are only selling out maybe once or twice a day, so these are pretty much always available. The barter is for 4 circuit boards, and you also need the Geiger counter. Stock up on these when you can. You typically find the Geiger counter for about 20 to 25k. I'm buying them at a slightly higher price here. And the circuit boards, they typically run you about 12 to 15k. Right, let's hop into the shooting range to see how each of these builds perform. First up, it's the full recoil build. You notice the ADS speed is fairly slow, and arm stam does run out pretty quick with this one. Make sure we're on full auto, and you can see a really nice tight spray. I'm hardly pulling down on that initial kick, and then it's so easy to control. You should be able to beam players with this laser. It's decent at range 2. There's not many builds that you can spray effectively at 6x, but this build you can. Swap out really quick to the meta build. You'll see the ADS is way quicker. The arm stand doesn't drain anywhere near as fast as the full recoil build. The initial kick and spray is fairly similar. If anything, I find this, just because I'm used to it, a little bit easier to control. So the trade-off between 3 recoil to achieve a much better ergo is well worth. You can see slightly more challenging to control at 6x, but still, it's effective. If you're spraying with a 6x optic, then you're doing something most players won't, and ultimately, there's not many builds in the game that'll allow you to do that. I'm going to leave in a little bit more range footage so you can just see how things compare in terms of shooting from point fire and just how things are without physically pulling down and trying to counter any of the recoil. And yeah, I appreciate you guys sticking around to the end. Put up a poll recently to see what the next video should be, and you wanted a meta gun build, so that's what we've gone with first. Since me starting to record this video, the votes on that poll have changed, and now more people want to see a money making guide. So the next video coming on the channel will definitely be a money making guide, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on that. And drop a comment down below if there's something that you want to learn in Tarkov, whether it's making money, whether it's a specific type of ammo, specific type of build, how to achieve a certain quest. Drop it down below. I'll do my very best to help out new players, and I'll catch you in the next one.